Hello, hello. Welcome to Your Teens Behind the Scenes. We are 2 days away from Destination College first week, Wednesday. If you haven't registered, Jessica's going to pop the link up in our chats in the comments, and you can register for Destination College. We're going to start our 8-week summit all about the college admissions process. You don't want to miss it. It's chock full of experts who are going to give us the essentials for the college admissions process so we can help our kids get a boost up. But since we're 2 days away, we thought today would be the perfect day to talk about what we wish we had known the first time we went through this process with our families, with our students. Because hindsight is 2020, so we want to share with you what we thought we had known. Mine is kind of a little unexpected. I wish I had known what our sons didn't know about the process or some silly myths that they believe, because later I found out that they believe stuff that I was like, really? You thought that? And I thought we'd done a good job with talking about the process and stuff, but there were things about college life and the process that they believed, and we didn't know what was going on in their heads. So my recommendation is that you talk more and strategize a little less. We have the strategizing for you during Destination College. So you need to handle the talking more, find out what's going on in their heads. Because if I told you some of the things that our sons thought and we didn't know, I was like, oh my God, you were burdened with that thought? It's a myth. It's not true. What else do you guys have? What do you wish you knew?
I wish I had been more hands off. I felt like I pushed, but then I realized if I had to push that hard, were they really ready? If I was doing so much of the work, because once they go, I'm not doing any of it. So I wish I had known that and just kind of step back and let my daughter kind of direct the thing, and me was in a supporting role versus like the pushing role. Yeah. Because honestly, if you push them into something they don't really want to do, then when you're not there to push them, then what? So I wish I had done that. But I was all up in her business, like we mothers tend to be, or parents. So who am I kidding? I would have, even if I knew it, I still would have done it.
With our last one, people would say, "Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you doing this?" And I would say, you could tell it was the last one. I'd be like, listen, if he can't do that for himself, he doesn't deserve to be in college. He's not ready.
Yeah. I did believe that. I did believe that. And I was tested because like some of the kids did that organically, like just were all over it. I was tested with one kid who looked like that it may not happen. And they didn't believe us when we said, you can't get yourself into college. You don't really want to spend all that money. Like, go to community college, get a job for a little bit, take a year and do something different. And they'd go, you don't mean that. And we're like, oh no, we do. This is a lot of money. We don't want to spend the money that way. So we actually did do it and we were tested, but it did work out. But the other thing I wish I had known was how much wasn't about me. And that took a few kids to get there. Like as much as I can watch the history of this and say that I didn't care, I could feel experiences that they were going through as if they were happening to me, which I think is a sign that I was maybe too enmeshed in what was going on. And maybe you can't, like we were talking about, can you learn from other people's mistakes? I don't know if you can or you can't, but I really think it wasn't fair to my kids to be so enmeshed. I think it's an easier ride if you don't think parents might cry if you don't get in. That is not a burden to on your children.
Mm-hmm. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot to welcome Holly. I see her hands up. So I want her, before you make your comment, can you self-introduce? Holly is new to the team. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you when we opened.
That's okay. No, I just wanted to say, like, being in the middle of it now, I feel like it's such a learning experience. And every day I'm trying to just with test optional and the whole landscape being different, I'm learning as a parent that I have to step away and it's not the end of the world. And I can't control the process. I almost think sometimes I'm more nervous than my junior is. And then when she tells me to like chill out, I'm like, I need to chill out. And it's been this learning experience and this back and forth of just, we can't control coming out of COVID and how things are looking different every year, and we don't really know what to expect. And I think it's made us better people for it, like learning to take a step back.
I just to take it down a different path here and to plug our college destination, one of the greatest pieces of advice I received was in one of our previous college summits. And we had an admissions counselor, and he said that, I guess his words of advice were, it's not always about your kid either. And he explained that when they're looking for an incoming college freshman class, he said, we can't take an entire class full of leaders. So if your child is a leader, and we can't take an entire class of leaders. We may need a trombone player, or we may need a theater person. So he said, your child may have a better SAT score, a better GPA, more volunteer hours than your neighbor, but your neighbor played the trombone, and we already had a ton of leaders. So your child wasn't accepted, not because she wasn't so much qualified, but because we can't have a whole class of all the same people. And it really took the onus, I think, and to pass that on to my kids. It's not always about you, meaning it's not that you weren't enough. It just is sort of the way the class falls, or the makeup of the class falls. And to me, that was so helpful. And I think it took some pressure off my kids to say, listen, you give it your best, but you're going to end up where you're meant to be. So I just thought that was fabulous advice, and I've passed it on to a number of people, and the people I pass on to are like, oh, rather than, why didn't my kid he did everything, she did everything. They did. It just, there were too many kids like your child or something.
Yeah. Almost
Mindy,
like yourself, and then we'll love you for that.
Yeah, Mindy, I want to jump on that because my alma mater they put my daughter on the wait list. And
they put my son on.
I lost my mind. Like, what? I have been donating to this school since I graduated. Like, she got, she was in there with the test scores. She had all the extracurriculars. Right. What are you talking about? Like, why? Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't really about her. It was a numbers thing. Mm-hmm. And I knew it, but it was like really hard to take because I felt betrayed, people. I really felt betrayed.
But the only, I don't know about you, Melissa, but at that point I said, well, no more checks. That was my third kid. Oh, well, okay. Well, there you go. I had a little extra jingle in my jeans because
At least you guys got yours to apply. I had to wait till the 5th kid to get one to even consider my alma mater.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I almost went to my parents' alma mater, and it ended up being too much money was the issue. Which I will say, I do wish we'd had the money conversation a little bit earlier in my college process.
Right. That's important.
Just because, I still have barely any concept of money. What is a lot of money? What isn't a lot of money? So, I'm applying to all these schools, trying to get, I got good grades. I got some decent scholarships, but at the end of the day, it came down to whichever one gave me the most money, and I was very confused and upset by that. I'm like, don't we have $1 million money somewhere in our house? Like, I can go wherever, right?
Yeah, that money talk is really important too, because my daughter got a full tuition scholarship, but we failed to account for the fact that tuition might actually be less than all the fees that they put on top of it when you get to college. So I think one of the things that we talk about in the Destination College is really looking at the money options, how to read those statements, how to figure out how much money you can actually afford. So, yes.
Also, one of the big problems is there's no price tag on the dress when you buy it. Like it comes with a host of other ways to bring that cost down. So we send very conflicting messages. Like, you should talk to your kids about which schools you can afford, but at the end of the day, you don't actually know what it's going to cost until you go the whole process. So you're going to break your kid's heart sometimes, even under the best circumstances, because you're going to say, we can afford this school, but we can't afford this one. It may stop in the end, where one is actually cheaper than the other because of scholarships and need. And it's a crazy, crazy system where we have experts who are going to give some tips on how you can figure out what it's likely going to cost before you ever go through the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The more information, the better, I think.
So if you're wondering, what is it that you need to know? And if this is your first time going through the process, we have 8 weeks of programming for you. Just go into our comment section and you can secure the registration link for Destination College. It's just 1 hour out of your week, once a week on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And each week we are talking about a different facet of the college admissions process. Just enough information for you to have conversation starters with your family and to feel as if you understand that part of the process.
Also, if you have any questions in advance, we'll take questions the night also, but if you have any questions in advance, you can email them to editor@yourteenmag.com. And Jess, you put that in there? I think it's going in. So if you're signed up and you have questions in advance, you can put forward questions first.
That's great to know. Tomorrow, we're not only talking about college this week, although that is primarily what we want to talk about. Tomorrow, I am interviewing Jenny Arrington. She is co-founder and lead teacher for Rebel Human and a wellness advisor for Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. And she's going to talk to us about, she's going to lead us through her 5 dials approach to helping our teens build resilience and physical awareness. So helping them in the moment change if they're feeling anxious about something or scared, how they can actually dial into themselves and change that feeling and persevere in the situation in the moment instead of planning ahead of time. This is what I would do. What do you do in the moment when you're anxious? So she's going to help us teach our teens these skills. Join us tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern time for that.
It sounds like a skill I can use as a parent.
I was thinking the same thing, Melissa. I was like, yeah, I'm tuning into that one.
For sure.
And the college stuff I'm tuning to. So.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.